channel. I am very happy about this video because today I'm not going to read my own poems. I'm not going to talk about my own poetry. I am going to talk about you guys' poetry and your incredible talent and amazing ideas and feelings. And I was really happy about this idea because usually I'm the one talking about myself, about my poetry and everything like that. And I decided to give you guys the opportunity to have your own beautiful poetry and have your own audience and feedback and all the positive things that come with posting your own beautiful lines because but this time the important thing is that sometimes people think that only writers or just people who are calling themselves poets can write beautiful lines and just post it and blah blah blah. But I realized that I needed to give some push and a little bit of courage to the people who just want to express their own feelings but they're afraid of doing so. So that's why I decided to post a picture, and I'm sure you've seen it if you're watching this video. It was called Call for Poems, and the important thing is that it had a theme-like thing, which is that you guys had to answer the question, how are you feeling at the moment? And that was really, really important for me because I think that's the question that can have such a poetic answer because all of us feel differently every time, and at every single second we feel differently, and even the same things are perceived and interpreted differently by different people. So that's why I decided that that would be the deepest question for you to be able to answer it in poetic lines. That's why I am going to read some of those poems, and I said it on my stories, but at the same time want to mention it here too. There were so many submissions, so many people commented on that post, and I was incredibly happy about that. I didn't expect it, and I was so happily shocked, I would say. So just know that this video is kind of going to be separate I guess in 3 videos or more if I feel the need to, because I can't read all of the poems in one video. It's gonna take me 1 hour or even more than an hour, I'm sure. So for it to be effective and also interesting as well, I'm going to separate it into a few videos and read those poems chronologically in those videos. So for this video I separated a few poems and I'm going to read them. I'm not going to pronounce the names of the poets because you're gonna see it below, either here or there. That's why I'm not going to say it out loud, because sometimes I feel like I'm mispronouncing and it kind of makes me feel really bad because I don't really like when people mispronounce my name. I understand it, but still, never mind. Let's just get into the reading part. So, the first poem. You asked how I am. I bloom when I have to bloom, when I want to bloom. And I rest when nature says it's winter, because there will be another spring and another summer. The to-do list can wait, and yet I promise the world to show up and not hide when it rains. I really like this poem because, first of all, it's short, but at the same time it's really, really deep. It kind of represents the feelings when you're like promising something, but at the same time you don't really feel comfortable doing it. For example, when it says, I rest and everything, the to-do list can wait and everything, and then you're like, but I promised the world to show up and not hide when it rains. So I really like those lines, and I feel like it was such a beautiful parallel between how you're feeling and at the same time kind of representing that through what happens in nature and how all of us associate the Renaissance, the inspirational awakening with spring and summer. And I really, really love that, Miriam. I loved it. I love everything that you write. And the next one is actually again by her, but this one is a little longer. There's a spell needed that allows us to bloom like snowdrops, being the first ones in spring. White bells and greenery. Give yourself permission. You don't need an allowance. Be the first one. Have you ever heard a flower asking when she should open herself up? Being afraid that she's too beautiful, too artsy, too colorful, too extraordinary. Be patient like the lilies when their buds when their buds turn from close green into a yellow open star. All the trees and plants have their own rhythm. And there's a PS message as well. I want to read that as well. You asked how I am. I am following my own rhythm at the moment. A bit sleepy, but doing fine and working on my own art and writing, putting myself out there in the world. I love the PS message as well, and I love the whole thing, which is like we always seek for permission, for allowance, for acceptance by other people, and sometimes we should just forget about that and be ourselves and wait for the right moment to do things for our own for ourselves, you know, not for everybody else, because usually it happens to me too that I'm kind of there comes a point when I'm like, oh, I think I'm doing more things for other people than I'm doing it for myself, because I'm putting them first. And I love the comparison when she says, have you ever heard a flower asking when she should open herself up, being afraid that she's too beautiful, too artsy, too colorful, too extraordinary? And I love the fact that she only mentioned the positive things, because you think that you might not be the best, but actually you're really beautiful, you're really special. And sometimes you feel like you're afraid of being yourself just because you might not be as good, you might not be as perfect as you want to be, but actually you are. And it feels like you're afraid of being too beautiful, too artsy, and too extraordinary. Just love this. This is such an inspirational and beautiful, kind of uplifting poem that I really needed to read at the moment. Thank you for this, Miriam. The sun sets, wind blowing, colors painted on the sky, happiness across the smile, the genuine smile, not faked from stress, real from peace. Today was good, more positive than the ones that filled this week. Sometimes days like this, sometimes times like this, sometimes moments like this remind us that things aren't that bad. Remind us to breathe, to relax. Remind us to feel the peace that surrounds us, that's so overlooked and ignored. And I totally agree with all the lines in this poem. It's incredible. It's so beautiful and so deep at the same time. I really love the fact that sometimes we don't really give the value that simple moments should have that value and should get that value and appreciation from us. For example, even the moment like this when I'm reading you guys' poetry, kind of giving feedback and understanding my own interpretation, I should give some value and appreciation to this moment as well, because it's a peaceful moment for me when I'm just reading on a Sunday afternoon. I'm just sitting and reading you guys' poetry, and I'm just being so grateful and so honored because you guys gave me the possibility to read those poems, and you trusted me with your beautiful pieces of art. And I love this, and I especially love the one that line when you say the genuine smile, not faked from stress, because I feel the need, sometimes I really do feel the need to smile despite the fact that I don't really feel like smiling. So that was a really deep sentence that I feel like, sadly enough, a lot of us would relate to. Thank you for this beautiful, beautiful message and reminder that we should appreciate things more than we do right now. And I totally agree with it. My heart is shredded, my shadow fears rearing its unhealed self. Black tar fills my being, poison circling my veins. I am spinning and drowning, being sucked down into a vortex of toxicity, all consuming, all momentary gasp for air. And I'm dragged under, suffocating, my head just above water as the vortex tries to drag me further. Wow. This is a wow poem for me because it's so descriptive and it's so tense, I would say, because it felt to me like I was reading a poem, a kind of I don't even know how to describe it. When you're reading a criminal story, right, like a thriller or something, a detective one, and you're constantly trying to read and read and read to try and find out what's gonna happen next, what's the cliffhanger and everything like that. So that was that kind of a poem for me, because you keep wanting to read to understand what's gonna happen next, what's happening, because like suffocating, my head just above water as the vortex tries to drag me further, and you're like, okay. So this poem felt like it ended with a cliffhanger to me, because I'm like, so what happened next? Did you get out of that water? Did it suffocate you? What happened next? And I was really interested in this poem, and I really like the tension in it, which says like poison circling my veins, and it was so descriptive. It felt to me like I was actually envisioning what was happening at that moment to you, and it felt to me like I was literally seeing you in that state, and I just couldn't do anything because I was a simple reader of this poem. Beautiful, so beautiful. This is a longer one. Words like vacillating waves on my chest mounting, hot coals flinching, sluicing daggers, filling my lungs. What if I fill my head with algorithms or science, with palpable things lacking metaphors and lyrical prose, to feel numb, to stay away from torments, to stop the fire burning within? I feel too much. I bleed incessantly. I say overmuch. Perhaps words are better kept unsaid to shield my heart from briars and forbidden tenants. Perhaps this will be my last line to bare my soul. I no longer yearn. I should shroud my heart with frost and metal cloth. My repertoire is coming to an end. Read me in another lifetime. Being a poet is a gift and a curse. This poem resonated with me on another level. It's incredibly beautiful and so relatable. I couldn't even say how relatable it is to me, because especially the lines when it says to feel numb, to stay away from torments, to stop the fire burning within, and especially the line when it says I feel too much. And I've said that in one of the previous videos of mine, that I feel that sometimes I feel too much and that's why I turn it into writing. So to be able to kind of get rid of all of the emotions that I have inside of me, because it feels like it's just too much to handle sometimes. I'm like, I think I'm gonna explode because of all of those emotions that I'm feeling at the moment, because I'm feeling for myself, for the people that are going through those situations, and it kind of doesn't get out of my head until the moment that I just put it on the paper or in my notes. And it's so relatable, and I say overmuch. I don't know whether I interpret this correctly, but what I interpreted and what I got from this was that sometimes you're saying too much, and you're actually saying that and then you're regretting and saying, why did I just say that out loud? It would have been better if I didn't say that, if I just kept it to myself. Why would I even say that out loud? And I loved the fact that it says, perhaps words are better kept unsaid. Sometimes I do agree that recently I've been feeling that way, because recently there have been cases when I said something and that was misinterpreted, and I had to explain and over-explain myself until I was really tired of doing that, and I was like, wouldn't it be better for me to just keep silent and not say anything at all? And also the part when she said, being a poet is a gift and a curse. I do agree with this. Sometimes I really get mad with myself and I'm like, you know what, why would I even be a poet? Because recently also I've been considering myself a poet. So I was like, why am I even a poet? Because it's a gift, because you can turn all the possible stories and all the possible feelings into words and just turn them into beautiful stories, even if it's painful. But at the same time, sometimes it's a curse, because you constantly need to have something to say. You constantly need to feel the need to turn things into words on paper, and sometimes it's a curse, because you're like, yeah, I have to write about this. it really pains you, it suffocates you, but you're like, yeah, I still have to write about this. At least it's good that I have something to write about. So yeah, I do agree with this. Thank you for this beautiful poem. I loved it. Unexplainable pain. Someone clawed out my heart, my bleeding heart. Just to give it an embrace, I painted with the blood trace. It left. It seared through my skin. Soon it'll heal, yet process never deft, and the scars will retain, but I can't refrain from doing it again and again. And I love this because, again, whatever I'm saying is just my personal interpretation of the poem. I feel like this poem talks about the cases when you're doing something knowing that you're gonna get hurt, and then you get hurt, and then you're giving yourself some time to heal after all of it, and then you realize that knowing that you are going to be hurt again, knowing that you were already hurt by that, you still do that once again, and you still choose to do it again. And there are so many cases it comes with the relationship, with different kinds of relationships, with different kinds of loves, or just choices in life. And I feel like, again, this is so relatable when you understand that it's not good for you, but you know that you're gonna do it again, you're gonna make that choice again, knowing that it's gonna hurt you. And I feel like that's really, really relatable, and that happens a lot in our lives. Red deprived of glistening gold, heart was tragically sold, feelings untold, folded within yet. It felt numb when thorns knifed my thumb, causing an endless bleed. Still I proceed to feed it with tears, as love for such beauty is a cruel luxury. How beautiful is this? How incredible are these lines, and the comparisons, and the whole visual representation of the pain and the feelings happening in that person's heart. And I really loved it. I really felt this part where it's like it felt numb, and then we see a period. It's like you're feeling numb, and that's period. That's it. I feel numb, and that's it. That's the most accurate representation of whatever I'm feeling at the moment. Heart was tragically sold, again, beautiful, and feelings untold. I feel like those two sentences incredibly follow each other's ideas and the whole emotional state, and I really loved it. And I feel like this is, again, a sad and a dark poem because, again, like bleeding, feelings untold. This could be, in my interpretation, partly about a one-sided love, but I'm not sure as well. So you tell me what it is about. What do you think this is about, guys? And as love for such beauty is a cruel luxury. I love that. It's like the love, the forbidden love kind of a thing, and I loved it. Rejuvenescence. Let the shame come first, then some anguish to them who pretended. Facing the throne of God, we will ask, why did you allow all this? Why didn't you stop the clock on the festive eve while the world was lit up with happiness? Why did you let them welcome bombs over fireworks? And most of them have not have lunch yet. Angels rode by those eternal pen. I think it's angels, not angles. Love is humanity. But their eyes couldn't open up their gates. Now sweat, tears, and blood, involute brains that never looked it down. To them who decorated this universe, even torment and immiserate them. Although tied to the shell, say your lips are free. Say you get soul time before body sleeps. Say what to say. The wrench they wear devours the citizenry. Everything will be accounted at resurrection. Their souls will be revealed the way they hurt human society into the web of atoms and laws. Hope God will hear the right where el inocente gañará, el llanto gañará. I am not sure whether I read the last line correctly or not, but I suppose that's how it should have been read. And I love this because for me, this was such a powerful poem. a really, really powerful one. And it feels like it was one of the poems from the old times when people had to voice their own opinions about some political situations, about the wars, about the authorities. And this is actually what it felt to me when reading this poem. And I loved it because it's, first of all, it's talking to God, and at the same time, it feels like it was talking to life, to the authorities. Like, why? For some reason, I also thought it was connected to wars as well, and to the political situations, the things that are happening these days. Like, why are all of these things happening? Why can't anybody just stop people and who are just trying to fight each other, who are just trying to create chaos in a whole world? And I loved it because it kind of touches upon so many different topics that should really be voiced and should really be talked about. And I loved it because especially my favorite line in this whole poem is when it says, "Love is humanity," because that's what actually love is, and that's one of the most accurate descriptions of love that I don't think I've ever heard this before, and I feel like this is one of the most accurate descriptions ever. Love is itself humanity, because if you love, you're so humane, you're so empathetic, and you're so understanding towards other people. Loved this. Would you like to have some tea and watch the show with me? What if you let yourself be caught up in a dimension of reality where there is peace and love at every corner of your coffee cup holder? So much effort you need to hold to your card house together and prevent it from falling apart forever. And at the end, still everyone is asking who's the winner. It is the king, the queen, the jerk, or is it the new player, the nerd? Or did even the game exist on the plane you're trying to resist? Life. I loved this one. It was so deep. It was so meaningful because it's like, this is again so relatable to me, because again, I feel like this is about wars and about forgetting your worries for a while and just thinking that everything is going to be all right, everything is just peaceful and is filled with love instead of hate and anger and rage and aggression and violence. And it's like, and it's just amazing. And I really like the last line when it says just life, just simply. It feels like before that she was trying to kind of explain what life is, what is happening, and then at the end she was like, let me just say that one word which is self-explanatory, which is life. And I love the first one as well. Would you like to have some tea and watch the show with me? Just like relax and not think about all the bad things, and just imagine that everything is good right now, there are no problems, and the whole peace is ours, and the whole world is in peace at the moment. I relate to it, and I would love to have some tea with you and just imagine that the whole world is living in peace. Magical. On to the next one. The desert like life, the life like desert. I've been inhaling and exhaling every day. Boxed desires inside me, I have been throwing away. My life is in love with himself, and I've been left alone, untouched, unloved, uncared, and unseen night and dawn. My soul wants to meet love with the soulmate it was promised to meet, but even my soulmate seems to be lost underneath. The only wish I am holding still in my heart, the day I'll meet him, I'll be able to say, you have been missed a lot. Wow, I almost cried. I don't know whether that's visible or not, but I almost cried. This is so beautiful and it's so emotional, and the more I talk about it, the more I want to cry. It's incredibly beautiful, and especially the line that made me almost tear up was, I was left alone, untouched, unloved, uncared, and unseen, night and dawn. It made me want to hug you so tight and just tell you that you'll find the person that you're looking for. You will be able to find kind of someday the day will come when you feel loved, cared, touched, and seen, nights and dawn. And this was so romantic, and it felt like one of the poems that you write at night when you feel really lonely, when you don't have anyone by your side, and you're like, yeah, the poet in me is waking up at the moment, and I have to write about the feelings that I'm feeling at the moment and the situation that I'm in right now. And I loved this because I could feel all of your emotions, and I could imagine myself in your situation, and just want to let you know that it's pure beauty. And I hope that you get to feel the feelings that you're kind of dreaming and thinking of feeling. I don't know what happened to my hair, but it was really, really beautiful and just incredible. I feel like I'm between a million stars where everything smells like the same perfume, the same, but so different and unique, each to itself, full of secret spices, rich in its own infinite threads that pulls me into its arms, slowly with the whisper and melody that envelops the entire universe. This love is so unique. There is no such love as ours, where the moon and the stars look and hug each other with a magical song to the earth, preserving its full glow. Wow. It's interesting how we kind of started from the relatively hard and kind of powerful and at the same time like worldly topics, and went into the romantic, the beautiful, the couple themed poems. And I love this. I wish that love, if you're actually experiencing this kind of a love, I hope that it stays with you forever, and I hope that you feel loved and appreciated, and at the same time you feel really, really cared for. And this poem is so beautiful. I'm so happy that you're experiencing love like that, where you feel like love like yours and your partner's doesn't really exist in this world. I think that's the best representation of love, where you're like, no, our love is unique, our love is different and magical. Okay. It's been a year. Is the time still not near? In the lonely streets of December, I still remember the 13th of September, the ungrateful child I was named. But was I ever to be blamed? Being abandoned by everyone, I got used to be alone. Can we find a way? 'Cause it's hard to be away. My heart has always been burning. Is there no way to save me from falling? Weathering all storms with my heather, things seemed a lot better. It was until 29th of October. 'Cause my whole world started to shatter, and like the feelings of gray and blue, it's still stuck in my mind like glue. Don't want to visit that old town, 'cause my heart's been let down. Wow. First of all, the rhymes. The rhymes were magical, incredible. I am somebody who's really, really in love with rhymes, and in the past, I would only write poems that rhymed, because I didn't consider poetry the poems that didn't rhyme, and I was like, no, it has to rhyme and everything, because in the past that when we were learning at school, when I was studying at school, usually the Armenian poetry contains rhymes, and it feels to me that unconsciously I got used to that. And whenever I saw poems that didn't rhyme, and that was actually in the American poetry and in the English poetry as well, I was like, is this even a poem? It's not rhyming, so why would it be called a poem? It's just like a quote-like thing, or just, you know, a short story. So getting back to this poem, just wanted to say that this reminds me of the times when I was like, no, only the rhyming poems are called poems, and I love this. I still love this because it feels like it's somewhere in the middle between a short story or a novel and a song. It's kind of in the middle of it because it rhymes, it has that rhythm to it, right? But it doesn't have a melody per se, but it's still really, really beautiful, and it's easy to read. It flows really smoothly, and I loved it because it has so many emotions in it. And I loved how you included the dates as well, because it kind of specifies and makes it so much more accurate, and you're like giving people the possibility to remember your poem on that specific day, like on the 13th of September, on the 29th of October, and it kind of sticks into your mind. And one sentence here was one of the most powerful things ever, which says, "I got used to being alone," which is so sad, and I'm so sorry if you're feeling that way. But I feel like, again, so many people would relate to this, because sometimes it kind of feels like you're used to being alone because you've been left alone a couple of times and you're already used to it. You don't even feel the need for other people to be in your life. And it was really, really deep and meaningful as well. Loved this. Amazing. Deeper than the ocean, deeper than you know. There's so much I need to tell you, but where to start, I don't know. They say to wait for the right time, but no one tells when that time will come. Oh, when that will come. Before it's too late to tell you, and before my life on earth is done. Hopefully someday you'll get to know how much you've meant to me. All this while I was chasing sunsets, but the real beauty was sitting with me, making even the nature look shabby, making her name wherever she goes. Oh girl, how do I tell you something that the entire world already knows? How much you've meant to me, and how much I adore you, and how much I hope to be by your side and watch you while the sun sets. Oh, this was so romantic. I love this. This is so beautiful and so romantic and so emotional. And the rhymes are incredible as well. Guys, how do you rhyme so beautifully? You guys are so talented, all of you. The poems that I'm reading today are wow. Wow, 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 wow. Just amazing. And this one as well. This is so romantic, and I think that it's so honest. It's the best way. I would say that it's one of the best ways to confess to a person, especially when it doesn't really mean that that person doesn't know about your feelings and then you're confessing to that person. That is the case. That could be the case as well, but also the other cases when you've been with that person for a few years, but you're like, I want to just highlight how much you mean to me and how much I adore you, and everybody sees it because it's obvious, but I just need to put that into words and let you know how amazing and how special you are to me. Amazing. I hope you've given this to the girl that you wrote this about. She would be really touched, trust me. Her pain, unapparent and invisible, her screams, hidden and indiscernible. Don't tell her to change. She prefers her loneliness unheard, her feelings locked up, a golden cage, fragile little things could never be exploited. Don't tell her to change, her weapon, silence so much better wielded than her panic. Wow. This one, again, is so deep and such a relatable one to me, again, because I felt like there was a time when there were people who wanted me to change. They wanted to change me, and I've experienced that on many different levels. And it's like they don't really want to love the real you. They just want to create a character that they would love. And this is actually what I'm feeling at the moment whenever somebody talks to me, whenever somebody approaches in many different contexts, like for example, when somebody approaches me romantically, or when somebody approaches me in terms of their friendship, and I'm like, please, just don't try to change me, because don't tell me to change, because if you're not ready to love the real me, if you're not ready to be next to the real me, then probably you're not the right person for me. It's not like I have to change to get the opportunity to be next to you. And again, I don't know if this is in a romantic sense or not, but I feel like we feel this on many different levels, many times throughout our lives. And this is so beautiful. I loved it. For I always kept searching for you, but today when you're standing right before me, I don't seem to have any words to apprehend you on the feelings of blues that I always get for you. 'Cause written on the walls are just the story in colors that I cannot change. The feelings that you had for me you kept written in the form of words, but still you bewitched my heart and abandoned the warmth of love. You seem to be from the paradise, and I always longed to see you. Just like the sun rises every morning, please come back to me as I am not able to perceive your existence. I always felt you with every burst of pain, and here I stand trying to hide these tears that are written in fears. Despite all of these, I still feel blues for you. I don't have words for this. This is gorgeous. This is just amazing. I love how this has a combination of so many emotions in one poem. It feels like it's about loneliness, about being abandoned, about loving someone really deeply, but at the same time, just, again, I would say that for me, this is about loving, but at the same time feeling so sad in that love. It's like you love that person, but at the same time, you're not as happy as you would love to be in this relationship. And I might be wrong, but this is just what I got from the lines. Again, guys, this is my subjective opinion. I'm not saying this is what the poem is about, but this is what I felt when reading it. And also, I loved when these few lines, when it says, and here I am, and here I stand trying to hide these tears that are written in fears. Wow, how poetic is this? And this beautiful comparison makes you think really deeply of what it could mean. Tears that are written with fears. Are you afraid of crying, or are you crying because you're afraid of some things? I think that in this poem especially, every line should be analyzed separately and thought about for a long time to be able to kind of understand what it truly means, and I love this. Can't well my love for flowers ever since 12, yet forbidden to have them for myself. They can, yet I can't, but I love them like they do, so I mustn't love as I grow petals too. Wow, I love this. This is so short, but at the same time, it kind of, after reading, I'm like, hold on, what? I think I have to read it a few times to be able to understand what it really means, because it says like, to have them for myself, and then that person's like, they can, yet I can't, but I love them like they do, so I mustn't love as I grow petals too. I really love that, because this felt to me like a dialogue of like people kind of interrupting each other. For example, let's imagine this scene. This is how it felt to me, like, they can, yet I can't, but I love them like they all do, like they do, so I mustn't love as I grow petals too. And then it feels like you just heard part of the whole conversation, and then you're like, okay, so what's next? What happens next? Or what was before this conversation? Because it feels like it's kind of taken out of the context, and you're like, okay, so what does this mean? And I'm not saying this in a bad sense, please don't get me wrong. This is so beautiful, and I loved it because it was short but so intriguing. My love for flowers ever since 12, yet forbidden. Like, it makes you think, why would you be forbidden to love flowers? And also maybe this is some kind of an analogy to something else, this is a metaphor for something else. Then what is the flower? Is this some kind of a person, or is this a feeling, or is this a dream that you're forbidden to have? So many things could have been a reference, like the flower could be a reference to so many things. Love this. School is always school. Again, the ring in the steps in the class. Again, I hear. Again, I feel. And again, I see. Again, the books and the door and the teachers. Again, the ring and the chair and the students. Again, the blue sky, the shiny sun and the pretty smile, like the day before. Yes, I recognize. Dark gray suit. No, not gray smile. Eyes full of joy. Heads devoid of any lie. Another day began. The same old things start. Oh, I don't want to be the same like the rainbow bluish red smile. Tomorrow is another day. I want to be another girl. I can be a better one. I can rise. I can shine. No reason to be shy. No excuse for any smile. I don't want to be like the school, because the school is always a school. Wow! I've never read a poem like this when somebody compares themselves to a school, which is like, I think that a school is kind of a metaphor for just being boring, because a school is always a school, all the things are the same, the classes, the people, the teachers, the books, and the homework. So I feel like I've never heard this before, and I just love the comparison where you're like, I don't want to be like the school, I want to be different every single day. And sometimes I really do feel like this, and guys, trust me, whenever I keep saying that I feel that way, I'm not faking this, and I'm totally being genuine. Because sometimes, and this is so weird, because sometimes I'm like, yeah, I feel like every day I'm the same. I have to change something about myself. And that is when I go and do a hairstyle like this. This time I had to attend the wedding, so it's kind of different. But sometimes when I'm like, yeah, I have to be a little different, and I go and get a haircut, that is my way of adding some change into my life. And then I'm like, I have to be different, and I have to be more confident today. And then I try to find ways of getting more confident, or just making myself feel more confident. And this is such a relatable poem, and I would never think that somebody could compare themselves to school. And I loved it, and I feel this is so unique, and just wow, I loved this poem. And I feel like so many of the students who go to school would really want to learn this poem, and would want to read and discuss this poem. I feel like sometimes we should have poems like this in our textbooks as well, because they are so relatable. Again, having classics is good too, and I think we should have both the classics and poems like this as well, because they're too relatable, and it would be really, really interesting for the students to discuss this. Almost the last one for today. Everything packed and checked, but that one box in the last shelf scares me. My hands shivered when I held it in my hands. It still has your fragrance. Tears rolled down my eyes to see the dried rose petals strew all over. I was never a tea lover until I sipped it from your cup. That cup still lying with your fingerprint on it. That football, what's happening? That football jersey you threw at me. I treasure it. It still has the mud stains and your autograph on it. Looking at hundreds of your Polaroids, I realized how artificial your smile was. Your favorite black hoodie is still as warm as you were. That warmth I crave in every other person I meet. The bookmark in the novel we read together never saw a happy ending. And my diary, an immense collection of our memories. I blew the dust off and turned the pages. The last sentence read, I wish I could stop him. I carry all of you with me. You entered, you made it look so beautiful, and you left. I wiped my tears off my cheeks and closed the diary like I closed your chapter. I closed your chapter. Did I? Or did I not? These poems got me really speechless. I felt like I just entered somebody's world to read their own story, and I feel like I just entered your heart. And just wanted to say that I feel so I just wanted to say that I'm really sorry that you're feeling this way, that this happened to you. I know this is not a great way to comfort you, but just wanted to let you know that you turned your pain into such a beautiful poem, such a vulnerable, in the most beautiful sense, and such an emotional poem that everybody would be honored to read and to discuss. And I think that, again, sadly enough, so many people would relate to this, because there are so many people that are coming into our lives. It feels like they're playing with our hearts, with our feelings and thoughts, and they're entering our world, and we feel like they're gonna stay forever, and then they'll just leave your world without any warning, without any beautiful goodbye message, and they just leave. And I loved each and every line in this, but I have a few favorites. I loved the diary line which says, I wish I could stop him. And it makes you think a lot about what happened. Like, what did you want to stop? Was that person playing with your feelings? Was that person hurting you in a way? Was that person having their own problems that you wanted to stop them from doing and from having? And wow, I loved how emotional this is, and it kind of makes me cry. And again, I want to hug you and tell you that you're gonna find the right person for yourself. Don't worry about this. And I loved when you says that your favorite black hoodie is still as warm as you were. I love that, the human factor, the warmth that you feel from the person, and now you're left with a hoodie that seems like it contains all the warmth that you felt from that person. And also, I was never a tea lover until I sipped it from your cup. I loved it because there are so many things that you didn't like before, and then some people, special people that come into your life, make you love something that you didn't think that you would ever love. And I just feel like that's the uniqueness and one of the most special things that you'll see in people. And also, I love this one. I closed your chapter. Did I or did I not? Wow. Amazing. So you're kind of asking yourself the question and doubting yourself. Sometimes it feels like you're over one person and then you're like, am I though? And you're just leaving that as a rhetorical question. Love this. And the last one for today is by somebody who decided to stay anonymous, so you guys won't see that person's username. And this is based on a true story. So I saw him learning how to eat with chopsticks like a child. He was obsessed. And since he's the kind of guy who wouldn't stop talking, I missed his voice in those moments. Suddenly he said, I still remember, wait, did he find me looking at him? I still remember seeing you for the first time, black top, blue jeans. I smiled. You do, huh? He mentioned how I had tied my hair. This was after 3 long years. Now I knew how much all of it means. I've been the same. I never changed. I'm the same guy, he added. Sometimes people are right, but time isn't, it seems. My heart had melted already, remembering all the old times. He actually was just a flight away, my tears expressed. And all this time I was a fool, believing in the world he'd stayed on the phone just to help me breathe, my soul said. Now you're not a mess. I told this person as well that this poem is extremely beautiful, and I can't even express how beautiful this is because this felt like I was reading a small story. It feels like, oh, have you seen those music videos where you're told a story in like 3 or 4 minutes, and you're kind of getting to know how it all started, how it all went, and how it all ended. And this reminds me of this poem because to me it seemed like it's really, really similar to this. And I loved the conversations in it, how we kind of get to know the guy as well. It's like we see here and there some conversations and some lines that he said, and how the conversation was and how he remembered her and what he loved about her. And I loved also that she says, he actually was just a flight away, my tears expressed. Beautiful. Sometimes people are right, but time isn't, it seems. I feel like this could be such a beautiful quote, and so many people would use it because I feel like this is such a relationship thing, and it happens in many, many different cases, but especially in romantic relationships as well, when the person is right, but you feel like the time isn't because you guys have different dreams, you guys have different goals and different directions that you want to go towards. Anyway, you got the point. And I love this, especially it's kind of visible, right, that it was taken from a true story that happened to somebody, and I loved it. And this is it for today. This video was pretty long, and this is one of the reasons why I said that I would separate it into a few videos, because I want to talk about every poem as well, to make you guys feel that you are special, that you have a talent, that you guys can write no matter what, no matter whether you have followers or not, whether you think that you're that talented or not, or whether you think that your thoughts wouldn't be read by anybody else. Just write and know that they are so beautiful. that everybody should read your poems, and this is me giving you a small chance to be read and appreciated, and just you know, kind of in the attention of the whole things, of the whole things. So, and one of the other goals of this whole video is to make people see how one small question, like, how are you feeling at the moment? What is it that's happening inside of you, can be answered this differently by so many people. Obviously, this is an obvious truth that everybody knows. It's like, I'm not going to surprise anybody with this conclusion, but at the same time, you feel what people are going through at the moment and how different those feelings are, and how differently the same feeling can be described and written. Thank you so much for trusting me with your beautiful, incredible poems. And I am in love with the fact that there are so many people that are this talented, and so many people that are ready to put their thoughts and feelings into words, because I think that's one of the most beautiful things in this world. Mwah! I love you guys. Wait for the next video. I think I am going to post those videos every other week, but that's just me thinking that I will do it that way. We'll see. I am not planning anything in this life, so love you guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye.